Hello, I'm Fast Lawyer. Today we're going to review Arashi Castles of Sin Final Cut VR, a game released on all the major VR storefronts December 5th, 2023 by developer Endeavor One. It normally retails for $30. I did buy this game and I tested it out on the Meta Quest 3 using link cable on my RTX 3080. Arashi Castles of Sin is a VR stealth action game where you infiltrate castles across feudal Japan with your arsenal of goodies and your pet Haru. Now, Haru is a very good boy, but Arashi Castles of Sin is a game that has a lot of negative reviews across MetaQuest, PlayStation VR 2, and the Steam store where it's rated mostly negative. But anyone that knows me knows that I pay no attention to negative reviews or positive reviews or hype. If I see a game that I want to play, I'll play it and I'll have an open and honest look at it and tell you the truth. So is Arashi Castles of Sin worth playing? And surprisingly, my answer is yes. I think this is a game worth playing. I am going to recommend this game. So let's get into the review, the good, the bad, and the ugly. First, let me mention that it took me about 9 hours to beat the game. Now, I'm going to be pretty frank. I'm a pretty slow gamer. I like to explore, take my time, and since this was a stealth game, I tried to do as many stealth actions as possible, and I did try to explore the whole map and kill as many enemies as possible. I did find the game overall to be maybe a little bit too easy. It definitely needed difficulty settings for those looking for more of a challenge. The game is perfect for those new to stealth games. It is very forgiving. Even if you alert enemies to your presence, it's usually pretty easy to get back into stealth as long as you're pretty snappy about it. Your dog Haru is very helpful and you can send him to attack any alerted enemy. And you also have several tools that you unlock that will help you even further, such as the flintlock pistol, which is I made a mistake but I win anyways button. But the good news is that there's usually more than one path to take. There's also a grappling gun that'll help you take higher ledges in certain areas. You also have the bow and arrow, shuriken, explosive bombs, smoke bombs, mines, poisonous food, and that's probably my favorite weapon, seeing a guard just get hungry all of a sudden and just eat food that's thrown on the floor and watch him get sick. And finally, the blowgun, which is probably my second favorite weapon. It's just fun to use and fun to see the guards just get totally paralyzed from the blowgun. And on top of that, you usually have lots of cover. There's usually pretty high grass all over the area, lots of walls you can hide behind. You can put out some of the flames, although not all of them. And if you use the grapple hook to take higher ground, you're usually pretty well covered. You also have the teleporting or ninja jumps you can use in this game to get in and out of cover pretty quickly. And there's usually some ladders and ropes that you can use as well to get up higher. And finally, there's usually lots of ammo just lying all around the map for you to take. So there's going to be a plethora of toys that you can use to help you get around the map stealthily, and definitely do not hold back on using these toys. This is the fun part of the game. I definitely recommend always taking the stealth route if you can, and even when you cannot use stealth just for whatever reason, you have Haru usually there, although he's not available right before the boss fight. So this is very much a arcade stealth action game. It's not hardcore at all, and if you're looking for a challenge, you'll probably be disappointed. However, if you're new to stealth gaming or you're just a casual gamer, I think this is a perfect game for you, and I definitely think this was the intended audience by the developer. Now, I will say that the non-stealth combat is not very good. It's very basic. The physics, it just doesn't feel right, and the non-stealth combat just basically falls into the category of block, keep your distance, and then counterattack when appropriate. Unfortunately, there's not really much more to it than that, other than you can use Haru at times to make it much easier. So I would definitely say stealth kills are rewarded. That is the rewarding part of this game, so stay in cover and use your ability while in cover to see enemies, and you can watch their patrols and figure out the best way to accomplish your shinobi adventure. The game is running on the Unity engine. On my RTX 3080, I was getting mostly 90 frames per second. Now, a lot of the negative reviews I've read mention the game being poorly optimized or micro stutters, but I did not experience this. There were some frame rate drops, but the game ran fine for the most part, for me at least, although I did notice some audio issues where the audio would cut off at times. This was the biggest issue I faced while playing this game. The only other big issue was that I did fall through the map, but that only happened one time. The last negative I'll mention was that there were several invisible barriers in the game, and whenever you face that, it definitely does take you out of the immersive version. I lied, I'll mention one more negative. This has to do with the enemy AI. As I said earlier, the game is not challenging enough, and I didn't like how the enemies sometimes would just forget that you were there, and that you could usually easily hide after they've been alerted or killed somebody just near them or took out the light. However, I don't think these are bugs. I think this was an intentional decision by the developers just to make this game more approachable. And just adding an easy mode where this is forgivable would have been fine, but this is the only difficulty available. Now, as far as the visuals, I can definitely see how several people were disappointed by the graphics in this game. It definitely does look like the game has been compromised for a Quest port. However, I will say that I have looked at some Quest footage and the PCVR version definitely looks a lot better. And to be honest, this game still looks better than the vast majority of PCVR games that are released. Definitely if you compare it to Half-Life Alyx, you're gonna be disappointed. And while it doesn't look the best that it could possibly look, the textures are kind of muddy and the lighting isn't particularly good. However, it's a pretty good art style, and there are several scenic locations to explore, whether it's fallen leaves on a mountainous pass while you overlook a castle that's been ravaged. At the end of the day, there's enough here that you can still enjoy your exploration of feudal Japan. The audio in this game is kind of a mixed bag. I did enjoy the Japanese voiceovers, and I definitely enjoyed the musical soundtrack for the game. It's very fitting for this genre. But on the other hand, the spatial audio in this game is not very good, and that's usually not a good thing for a stealth-focused game. It would be great to rely on all your senses, not just seeing in the light, but making your way through the dark just by the sounds. But that's just not the case in this game. Now, I did enjoy the story overall. It is a very by-the-numbers revenge story, but I liked how each boss fight encounter was different, and each one of them had a different aspect to them. And while there's not a whole lot of depth to the story, I do like how the story just kind of paced the action in this game. And again, I don't want to beat a dead horse, but I do wish the boss fights had just been a little bit more challenging. Each of the boss fights did have its own gimmick to it, but unfortunately, once you figured out the gimmick, it wasn't very challenging. So overall, I did enjoy my time with Arashi Castles of Sin Final Cut. It's a very approachable stealth action game, and I can definitely see why some people would not appreciate that. A lot of the early negative reviews mention issues with locomotion or turning. Those issues are no longer there. You have full locomotion available along with smooth and snap turning. The game incorporates ninja jumps, which is really just teleporting to areas a little bit more quickly. It does look like a cool ninja jump though. You do have comfort settings as well, although I do wish this game had graphical settings and difficulty settings as well. The best part of the game is definitely all the toys you can play with, and you can pet Haru as well. I do recommend giving Haru a command to sit in a particular spot so he's not running all around the map. And before I forget, I do want to mention that I did experience some bugs with Haru where he just would disappear and I wouldn't find him until the next level. This game definitely has some bugs that you'll have to deal with, but I definitely wouldn't call this a buggy game. I would say it's more on the janky side. Things could be smoother, the game could be more polished, but what really sets this game apart is that it's a full game. It has voice acting, it has a great musical score, it's got a story, it's got production values that you don't normally see in VR games. So overall, if I have to score this game, I would give it a solid 7 out of 10. It's definitely not perfect, and I can definitely understand some people not enjoying this game as much as I did, but if you're looking for an introduction to stealth action games, I think this would be a great game for you, and I would definitely highly recommend this game if you're in that audience. Anyways, I'm Fast Lawyer. This has been my review for Arashi Castles of Sin Final Cut VR. If you enjoyed my video, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and as always, have a wonderful day and enjoy the rest of the video.
ども立ち上がるのだ。主君と神の復讐を。
軍兵衛の反逆の裏にある真実を探るため夜を待って城に忍び込んだ。そして思いもよらぬ真実を突き止めた。